In this live self-defense training video, you're going to discover how to use the best do-it-yourself DIY self-defense tool. That is the homemade walking stick. This is one of my favorite tools for self-defense that you can make yourself. This is a simple dowel rod. You just sand it down, use 2 or 3 different grits of sandpaper, oil it up, make it nice and flexible, nice and strong, and then you have a powerful self-defense tool, a do-it-yourself self-defense tool that could save your life. Using it as a walking stick, you can take it with you most places that you go. You're gonna put it between you and the threat, and then start with a simple thrust. So the first thing I want you to think about is creating distance and stopping someone from getting too close to hurt you. So you're pointed at them, simply point your thumb, puts it into the front hand, and then you take a step and thrust. That's your first basic technique. And with your do-it-yourself self-defense walking stick or self-defense tool, I want you to practice that motion. So you just put it in your hand slides down the front, put it in the other hand, take a step with that front foot. So from here, this is your right hand, you put it in the left hand and thrust. As you're thrusting, you're straightening your arms and you're pushing in and through the middle of their body because you move your body forward. Hello, Sand Dude. Hello, Robin, it's good to see you. Because you're moving your body forward with your step, you're generating a lot of power. But it starts by sliding the hand down the front, point, and thrust. The second thing I want you to practice is sliding your hand down the back, pick it up, and simply step in with a jabbing motion or a thrust coming right into the center line of the body. You can do this very simply by sliding your hand down the back and then in with a straight arm thrust. From here, you can see the length of your do-it-yourself self-defense walking stick comes out of the back. Hello, Texan Rider. Texan Rider's here. From here, you can turn your body kind of in a hooking motion, and that brings this part across the side of the head or into the neck, into the arm. Hello, Viewful Jay. It's good to see you. Punch here, twist here, and then you can pull it back. As you pull your hand back, like you're answering your phone, it puts it again into the front hand. Now, if you like self-defense with do-it-yourself, homemade self-defense tools like this homemade self-defense walking stick, please give me a thumbs up. I do a lot of these videos. Recently, I've been teaching this size tool. This is a size tool that I use a lot in my classes here in person. This one allows you to strike, thrust, swing, come straight in over the top, and it's just exactly half of that. So this is the 18-inch Tanbo. This is the 36-inch walking stick, or Hanbo. Tanbo, Hanbo in the Okinawan or Japanese tradition, but we can just call it a short stick and a medium-sized stick. So again, from here, slide your hand down the back, step in with a thrust, bring the hand across here, bring it here, and doing this reverse thrust, you can slide back and then down over the top, ending the self-defense fight. Ending it immediately by knocking the person out, turn off their lights. For self-defense, these are all self-defense moves. It's not for picking a fight, it's not for hurting somebody. You're not the aggressor, you're simply defending yourself. Your hand goes down the back, thrust, turn, thrust, strike. Coming straight down over the top. You can even use that motion to clear and go down to the leg. You can even bring it through with one arm and extend your reach. Anytime you go into the one hand instead of 2 hands, you can reach out farther away from you and push them back. Sand Dude asked, what do I think about wrestling? I wrestled in high school. I started in judo. I love wrestling. I think wrestling or grappling, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is one of the best things you can do. If you can't find Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, do Western wrestling. I think it's just about as good. Jiu-Jitsu is more for self-defense. The wrestling will make you mentally strong and physically strong and teach you a lot of good self-defense skills. So Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling, judo, all great styles of self-defense. Slide your hand down the back, punch, thrust, thrust, coming down over the top. Now you might be carrying your do-it-yourself homemade walking stick or homemade self-defense tool, and from here you can turn your palm up so you have this ability to do a quick chopping motion. You can turn your palm down and you can still do a chopping motion but with the reverse hand. From here you can also simply thrust with both hands, almost like you're doing a push-up, and this big piece of oak. This one's oak. It's 1.25 inches in diameter. Cost was on sale. It was half price. It was like $4. Brandon says he's going to move to the 10th grade. Congratulations, Brandon. Stay safe. If you want one of these, I'm not a carpenter. I do make these. I sold a bunch of these recently, and they shipped really fast. I was surprised that they went so quickly through the mail, and most everybody who's gotten them so far told me they really like them. So if you want one of these, there's a link below. You can look at that. If you don't want me to make it yourself. Again, it's a do-it-yourself, homemade self-defense walking tool or walking stick, homemade do-it-yourself self-defense tool. It's a 36-inch dowel rod. Try to get it, don't get it in poplar. Poplar's cheaper by like $2. But for $2 more, go for a hardwood, go for oak. Or if you could get it, go even stronger with hickory. If you can get hickory, go for hickory or a strong wood like that. And then you sand it down really well. 3 grits of sandpaper is what I use. I use an 80 grit sandpaper. I just wrap my hand around it, make it kind of loose, and then you turn it as you're going through, flip it over, and you do that for about 30 seconds per side. And then you gotta wipe it off with a paper towel or a damp rag, and then, but not wet, don't make it wet. And then go to 120 grit. The more pieces of sand in a square inch, that's what the grit is. 80 grit means big pieces of sand take off a lot of splinters. 120 is gonna make it more smooth. After you do 120 for about 30 seconds, go for the 220, and then that'll be really smooth. Once you get it really smooth, soak it in some oil for a couple of days. I usually soak it at least 2 days. These sticks that I sent out recently, the reason they're so dark, this is oak. They're strong too. They're strong and they're heavy. Each one gained about 4 ounces of weight, which means that it hits, you can use that flicking motion, hits so much harder, but that's because all that oil soaked in there for 3 days made it very strong. You're not gonna have to re-oil that for a long time. Now, the next motion I want you to see, your hand goes down the back and you're gonna bring it up and almost like you're throwing a punch, turning your fist over so that that pinky knuckle pops up. And what happens is the long side of your do-it-yourself self-defense tool is gonna whip up and come right up alongside his head, his neck, his shoulder, all for self-defense. Bringing it here, starting with this punching motion and then turning over. And it comes out very fast, hits very hard, especially when you're turning your shoulders and hips. And if you can hear the difference in the sound when I step into it. So practice stepping in on your strike. So we started with the first one, your hand slides down the front, point your thumb at the threat, thrust. From here, you can also slide it back. You're pulling it back here, your backhand comes up, and then bring it down over the top, or in at an angle, or down into the legs, all for self-defense. From here, we talked about putting the hand down the back of your staff, and then, or your walking stick, right into the face, coming around here. You can even do both in combination. Answering your phone, bring your hand up to your ear, thrust here, slide the hand, and then chopping straight down over the top. And then finally, carrying it like this. Yeah, Andy asks if you can use trekking poles. Trekking poles made of all kinds of different materials. Some old style trekking poles are wood, newer style, you can get carbon fiber. They're really strong. They will break though. So you have to be kind of careful with how you use them. But practice those basic moves and you'll be able to defend yourself with a do-it-yourself self-defense tool.